The egregores are mysterious creatures that have surpassed the limits of reason and even mastered resurrection. The mystery of life and death is one of the most complex and exciting for modern society. Until now, no scientist can confidently say whether a person has a soul and what adventures we can expect after death, but let's look at the situation from the standpoint of alternative versions of history. If we accept the fact that the true old gods, ancient egregores or spirits, may not be some mythical creatures, but just another intelligent species with more developed level of consciousness than humanity in the old days, then the illustration from the Prometheus movie can be called the most ideal visualization option possible. According to alternative versions of history, this species helped humanity to artificially raise the level of consciousness to a certain level, perhaps in its own image and likeness. There is often a misconception that the ancient egregores created man, but as we understand from research on this particular topic of real history, they only helped humans to develop. There's a belief that ancient gods and people are one biological species. Mixed marriages between people and the gods constantly took place. As a result, quite healthy children of God were born. The difference lies in the amount of knowledge they possessed and in the possession of the gods by some advanced technology, which is currently unsurprising to anyone. As a species, we appeared much earlier, but our level of consciousness fully corresponded to other forms of living organisms on Earth. After that, representatives of a mysterious civilization appeared and through genetic engineering finalized our species to such a state that we violated the entire balance of the planet with our mere existence. If there were no highly developed civilizations on Earth long before us, then we upset the balance that had been maintained before a couple of billion years. When the first people with a developed consciousness appeared, it was natural that the alien race was some form of gods for them. There is a vague suspicion that civilization can be considered gods in our time, but let's digress from the topic. Let's get back to the issues of life and death. Those who have surpassed even death. In some myths about ancient gods or egregores, there are references to how the gods die and are resurrected. A good example is the myth of Osiris of Egypt, who was generally collected piece by piece, it would seem, but these are just myths. Why take them in such a literal sense? Since we're talking about the reality of the gods, then the situation in myths may turn out to be mere inventions, but information based on real events. Not mere inventions, but information based on real events. Moreover, the scriptures of one of the most popular religions describe the direct resurrection of Jesus in the flesh. There is no presumption in talk about the secrets of Christianity, but can assume that the civilizations of the egregores are still watching over us and sent a representative here 2,000 years ago to guide people on the true path and give commandments for life. But now notice first Osiris and then Jesus, then you can find controversial references in myths about descendants into the underworld or heavenly kingdoms of individual gods, which also implies death and birth. Based on these data, we can make a bold assumption that the civilization of the ancient egregores has reached such an unthinkable level of development which allowed them to return the souls of dead colleagues and relatives. Perhaps not every representative of an unknown civilization can do this, but the very fact of such a possibility is amazing, and that's not all. In addition to resurrection, we would like to single out the achievement of longevity. Not only in the Bible, but also in the Sumerian myths, we see that even earlier people could afford to live not for a maximum of 100 years, but for a whole 1,000. So how long could representatives of the civilization of the gods live then? If we assume that they have achieved biological immortality and given the possibility of resurrection, the potential of their race is limitless. There is an interesting point. Even in myths, the resurrection process has not was not simple and was used extremely rarely and only in extreme cases, which, by the way, is suspicious for myths. If this is fiction, then why could not God always be resurrected? After all, you can come up with anything, but here there are some incomprehensible difficulties, which is strange. Perhaps that resurrection, although it was possible for the egregores, but even they had to pay a high price for it, it's frightening to imagine that if this price is terrible for them, then for us it will probably be unattainable. And you can also resurrect in different ways. For example, if you adhere to the theory of a multivariant universe, then there's always a world where you are alive, but otherwise there's exactly the same as here. We go there, grab it and drag it here. Voila, you are resurrected. With the metamorphosis taking place with the higher races, one must also take into account the multidimensionality of time and space, and time have 3 dimensions. This is a fact that will soon be officially recognized. In any case, if we ever find out that the resurrection is real, then this will radically change our civilization and the very idea of life, because it can receive a certain priced category. And this is on Soul Ask. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.